evening. This is Barakat Adekunle. Reading with me is
Idowu Shekoni. Good evening.
Bringing you News Scope, our daily news program of in-depth reports, interviews, and commentaries. First, the highlights. Minister of Finance rejects calls for highlights. Minister of Finance rejects calls for details of 5 billion naira loan. Pardon, Minister of Finance rejects calls for details of $5 billion loan.
Kano shorts 37 private health facilities over regulatory violations.
Oyo's government applaud BCOS for promoting traditional religion.
And on the foreign scene, landslide kills 13 at illegal gold mine in Colombia.
Now the news in details. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Taiwo Oyedele, has rejected calls for the federal government to publish details of how it plans to spend funds drawn from its $5 billion financing facility with First Abu Dhabi Bank. Oyedele said the transaction had been subjected to unnecessary scrutiny, arguing that the facility was approved by the National Assembly and was structured to help the government refinance more expensive debt. He spoke during a media briefing in Abuja. The federal government recently drew about $1.5 billion, the first tranche of the $5 billion total return swap facility arranged with funds over the transparency and risk associated with such financing structures. Responding to his question on the borrowing plan and whether details of the First Abu Dhabi Bank transaction would be made public, Oyedele said the government would publish information on how it spends public funds, but questioned why the particular facility was receiving special attention. Oyedele also dismissed suggestions that a transaction was conducted without due process, noting that it had been presented to the National Assembly. The minister said the government had assessed the transaction carefully and was assessing the funds in phases to avoid incurring unnecessary costs. He explained that the financing arrangement was different from Nigeria's traditional fixed-rate borrowing because the First Abu Dhabi Bank facility had a flexible interest rate. The federal government is required to pledge securities worth about while supportive supervision involves stakeholders, including specialist doctors, lawyers, representatives of the State Ministry of Health,
The National Agency for the Prohibition of Vincent Adekoye, the facility located in the Elenwon area of Port Harcourt was allegedly operating from a residential apartment. $5 million naira changed hands in connection with the transfer of the 3 children, operating as so-called baby factories.
Troops of Nigerian Army have recovered AK-47 rifles, other weapons and ammunition during an operation in Mangu local government area of Plateau State. The troops operating under Sector 8 of Operation ND have been linked to reported rustling of an unconfirmed number of cattle allegedly by some youth from the community. The army, in a post shared on X, reported that the troops were immediately deployed to conduct a fighting patrol and retrospected locations. With the dual objective
conducting a patrol in Isa local government area of Sokoto State encountered a terrorist ambush. The troops responded swiftly and forced the terrorists to flee the area. The Joint Task Force also disclosed terrorists.
The Commissioner of Police, Federal Capital Territory, FCT Command, CP Ahmed Sanusi, has issued a stern warning to divisional police officers, DPOs, and supervisors